Welcome to this evening's Fan Zone show. My name's Phil. We're live for the next half hour. It's all about getting your views and comments on screen, and we'll react to it. We'll talk about whatever it is you want to talk about. We've got the Walsall game tomorrow. What changes do you want to see Steve Cooper make for that? Should he make a lot of changes to try and see what some of these players who aren't making the squad are? Would you have Ricardo Pereira in there? Who would you start? Would you give El Canouse another go? Didn't look that good to me on Saturday at all. Give us your views on him. Should you give him another game against Walsall, a lower league opposition? Do we see a bit more Edouard? What sort of team would you put out tomorrow against Walsall? And of course, if you want to talk about the game against Everton on Saturday, we can do that. And we can start to look forward to Arsenal on Saturday. Most of all, we need your views. We want your comments. We'll get as many on screen as we can in the next 30 minutes. So join us for tonight's live Monday night Fan Zone show.
The Leicester City machine is on the march again.
Leicester Fan TV presents a variety of content like fan discussions, match analysis, and engaging with Leicester fans worldwide. We want your views live, thanks to our sponsors, Everard's, Pucker Pies, Hologram, Take Me, Newbie & Co, and the Fox's Arms. For exclusive extra shows, behind the scenes, competitions and podcasts, subscribe to Leicester Fan TV today on Patreon.
Yes, if you're watching this live, this is all about getting as many comments on screen as possible within the next 29 minutes now. Now, don't forget, you can follow us right here at Leicester Fan TV. If you're watching on Facebook, do us a favour, give us a like, give us a share. If you're watching on YouTube, we appreciate everybody who's subscribed. And Twitter, we know lots of people watch on Twitter, so make sure you get your views and comments in. Andy says, what changes is your look, man? I'm not sure what you're going to make. Is your man going to make? Maybe there, Andy. Get your responses in. El Canouse says Clibo1 has to start, needs match time. Ricky P also has to start. Clibo, I think I totally agree with you, mate. Does anybody else agree with what Clibo says there? El Canouse has to start. I thought that was perhaps one of the weakest debuts I've seen for a while. Certainly one of the most concerning ones I've seen. We've just spent 20-25 million on him. Look lightweight and well off the way. And Ricky P, massive questions on Ricky P. How can somebody who looks last year, the year before, one of our best players, consistency, just not get any game time? Surely he has to start. Do you agree with Clibo in there? Bubba says, good evening. Not good enough on Saturday, not nearly good enough. Do you agree with Bubba in there? I'm very torn at the moment because I'm still looking at that half glass full and looking at positives, but I do hear what people are saying. Mark, good evening, says play all the young lads. Who would you play, Mark? Let us know. You talk about Will Alvarez, Braybrook. Who else you got? We've not got our season going yet. Wins in the league and stay up. Don't worry about cup runs. Mark is saying, I don't risk any of the big players, but I think, Mark, it's a good chance for some of these. Surely Ricky P has to start tomorrow. Like I say, I'll get El Canouse in there, Edouard in there, get some game time under their belts. I'm sure Danny Ward will start in goal. Let us know. Still waiting, Karen. Yeah, Auntie Karen, hope you're well. We are still waiting. Still waiting. We should have done it against Palace. And I actually think we could have done it against Everton, although don't get me wrong, we certainly could have lost against Everton. Andy says, poor subs. I think misspelling on the first word there, but poor subs on Saturday. Still can't work out what our style of play is. I think the style of play is just trying to stay up at the moment, trying to stay in the games. Andy, I agree with the subs. I'd like to see a little bit more positivity in some of those subs. And I do hear when fans are saying, get the game, get out the game a little bit. It didn't help on Saturday. James Hill says poor subs from Cooper. For me, it didn't help on Saturday that a lot of players were having 4 or 5 out of 10 games. Some of those below that. Maybe only 1 or 2 had more than a 5 or 6 out of 10. A lot of players not really out the races, if you ask me. Richie, good evening. Hope you're well. Says, Leicester should have beaten Everton on Saturday. Make changes for the Walsall game. Richie, what would they be? Andy says, needs to play Ricky P. Drop JJ and give Edouard and Vardy up front. I don't think he's going to give Vardy a rest, isn't he, Andy? Don't you think? Gareth says, surely Ricardo has to play. I agree. If Here's a question for you, and Tom's going to join me very, very shortly. But Gareth and everybody else watching, if Ricardo doesn't start tomorrow, or at the very least get, I don't know, half a second half, we've all got we've got to question what has gone on, isn't it? Phil Upton, good evening, says same team against Tranmere, question mark. Well, what do you think, Phil? Come on, answer your own question there. What do you think in there? We are signing players not ready to play in the Premier League. All leads back to Rudkin. Jeffrey, I must admit, now listen, I don't want to, I almost was thinking, do I ask the question, that was the worst debut since ... Fill out the gaps. I almost don't want to be that negative because I genuinely trying to be positive. But gosh, I was watching him in the first half going, I saw he did a couple of little turns in front of us in the family stand. And I was like, oh, that boy's got skills. So I do see that there's something there. But wow, it looked like one of the young academy lads had been pulled in last minute to have a game, maybe. Jeffrey says, sorry, I've already had that one on there. Patrick, good evening, Patrick. Says Ward, Ricky P, Vestergaard, Cody Thomas, Chowdhury, Skip, Fatwa, Billy the Kid, Edward, and Reed. I think you're right with a lot of those in there, Patrick. Do you agree with him? Craig says we need a full game, not just half a game. I think you talk about the whole team there, Craig, aren't you, really? Getting so many in there. Joe says, personally think give Ollie Wingy from the academy a go. Some of these academy players have got to have some time at some point, haven't they? Good evening. We have to take Everton as a hard-fought point and just move on. I actually agree with you that I think you may look back at the end of the season and go, that point there just kept us up. Because I think I think we are in for that season. Just keep up. Last game of the season. That I hear a lot of fans saying, oh, we should be fighting up the table, mid-table. And I'm like, it's got to come from somewhere. But you've got to just, stick in the games for me at the moment. Bubba, I'd like to see some positive, proactive subs rather than reactive subs too little, too late. Well, Bubba, Buonatti, when he came on, that was a massive positivity. I could argue it should have come earlier. Perhaps, we could see it at half time. And did he? I think should have gone off. Skip should have come on. So I do understand what you're saying. JJ was getting done by their number 10, says Tribe Onions. Was it number 10? I forget his name. New lad they've signed, I think, from Marseille. No, he looked good. And Calvin, what's it, Lewis, isn't it? They're number 9. Seem to win every header. I'm going to have Tom in to help me out here. Tom, he's coming in. Keep getting your views. Calvert Lewin. I just brain went.
Calvert Lewin.
He won pretty much every header. And again, I saw some question marks myself about Akole. I've seen some positivity. We're going to try and get as many comments on screen. Nick says Edward will start Cody Vestergaard to get some game time. I'd have thought. Tom.
Well, if you look at the team that played against Tranmere, it was Danny Ward, Pereira, Wout Faz, Ockley, Thomas, Skip, Winks, and Diddy, McAtee, Jordan Ayew, and Mavididi was that starting lineup. So let's just put it away. Vestergaard couldn't get in that team. So it'll be interesting. I'd like to see Vestergaard get some game time. He deserves to get some game time. Pereira automatically starts tomorrow. I don't think that's a given. I think he will start tomorrow. Luke Thomas will probably start left back tomorrow. He will change it up. But again, we play Arsenal on Saturday, so he's going to have that at the back of his mind, who he plays in what game. So it's going to be an interesting selection, but I think the team will be quite similar to what we saw against Tranmere in the last round of the Cup.
Lee, I'm going to try and get as many variety of comments in because it feels like football's got very polarised over the last 2 or 3 years. Tom, Lee says here we need Cooper out. He is clueless and can't see where our first win is coming. Now, my reaction to you, Lee, is I think we've been competitive in all 5 matches, less so Fulham away. But the other 4, I think we've been competitive against teams who finished 4th, 5th. Palace away with 10th last season. Everton scraped up. It's not an easy league, Tom, but I know you've got concerns. React to Lee.
I can understand what Lee's saying, sort of. I'm not at that stage yet to start calling for a manager to go after 5 games. I think we've played well in 3 out of the 5. I don't think Everton was a good enough performance to stay in the division. You can't wait till the 70th minute mark and have to make a sub to then start playing that well, because against so-called better teams, you're going to get punished. And yeah, I want to see some improvements going into the next 3 or 4 games, because with the likes of Bournemouth, Ipswich, Southampton, I think are in that little run we've got coming up before the next international break. we've got to be trying to get some points from that Southampton, Ipswich games, and Bournemouth at home. They're not a great team in this division. They got smashed by Liverpool. They've done all right over the years, but they are the games you've got to be looking at to target and get points. And if we don't see that improvement before the next international break, I want to mean improvement as style. Show us something that something's working off the training pitch, because I haven't seen anything in the first 5 games to tell me that the players have got anything from Cooper how they want to play, basically, and that's what my concerns are.
Okay. Ben says here, Ben agrees with Lee and some of what you're saying. Can't believe the happy clappers are still justifying this crap. Ben, I'm just prepared to give it longer than 5 games before I go in and say Cooper out. I'm like at least 10, if not 15 games, but that's just me. Nick says Edouard will start, Cody Vestergaard to get game time. I'd have thought in there. Mick Hewitt says we've got a good enough team to stay up. Cooper's subs are dreadful every game there. Mick, I think we probably do just about have a team good enough to stay up. And I say just, from what I'm seeing. Tom, his subs, like you just mentioned, seem... I mean, we talked about subs under Enzo. We've talked about subs under Rodgers. It seems a bit of a common thread over the past 3 or 4 managers that subs seem slow. I think fans like to see it a bit quicker and a bit more. Get out.
Be proactive, let's not be a harsh. Half time, let El Canoes look. It's his first game. I feel sorry for the kid. He had a few nice touches and a few nice passes, but he looked a bit lightweight for me after 1 game in this league. Time will tell. I mean, first
Tom,
game.
I said that was the worst, debut since ... I was like, to be fair, Tom, I was a little bit shocked because I'm like, wow, this is the guy we paid 20 odd million for. He looked well off it.
Yeah, he's got a lot to learn about this division and how quick it is. You're not going to have time on the ball like he was expecting. And let's think about him. He has got a spark and you can see some things there and why the club have paid the money. But, for me, you should be starting Bonotti 30-odd games last season in the Premiership, and he made the difference when he came on for me. He was the one who changed the way we were playing. He was the one being more aggressive. Yeah, going forward. It wasn't sideways and backwards. He was giving the ball, I'm going to go forward, and we're going to look for the press. Edwards was too late for me. Pointless coming on for 10 minutes. Been crying out for the last 4 games. Or 5 games, needed a striker because Vardy can't last all game. Bless him. 60 minutes, 70 minutes, he's done. I don't want to see Vardy playing 90 minutes. It doesn't work. And we went and got a striker. But again, it was too late for me bringing him on. He should have been brought on with about 25, 30 minutes to go. Bring Vardy off or play 2 of them together for a change. And then, obviously, for the one that really pissed everyone off, let's put it that way, was the substitution for bringing off Mavididi. Now, listen to the interview after, he was saying that he was tired, but hang on, he's tired when Jordan Ayew is like 5-6 years older than him and he's still on the pitch. I'm not having that. I think that was a really, really poor substitution. I didn't have a bad game.
Cooper said that Mavididi was blowing. He had his hands on his knees, and he was like, "I wanted to come off." I've seen it, Tom. We've all seen players say, "I want to come off."
It's too late, mate. By that point, the game's gone.
I agree.
The substitution was too late. If you could see he was going, then he was going 10 minutes before that. But we all know, and Cooper said himself, he'd watched a lot of Leicester games last year. We all know Abdul's best place is on that right-hand side, cutting in and crossing it to the back post or cutting in and having a shot. So putting him on the left flank, for me, doesn't work because Mavididi does the same thing. He cuts in and has a shot on his right foot or curls it. So you've got to put him in the right position. Like I say, the fullback was on a yellow card, and that was the most frustrating thing.
Right. Yeah.
Mavididi had him on toast at that point, and I generally believe Mavididi probably would have gotten sent off if you continue going to touch him. Even for those next 5-6 minutes, he was really done.
Let's get some comments in, and then we'll ask Tom one of them. Skip has to be playing. We paid 25 million for him. Yes. Ndidi was man of the match for many the week before, Tom. It was a bit. Again, I'm not defending Cooper, but I can see what he did with that one. He thought, well, Ndidi's had a good one. People are baying and begging for a creative midfielder. In the end, you look back and you go, it should have been Buenatti and it should have been Skip. But I see he's put El Canoes in because he's paid 20 million for him and he's not on loan, so play him. And he's put Ndidi in because he was man of the match the week before. It didn't work.
No, it didn't work. But again,
Hindsight's great.
half time, that's where you're looking for a positive change. Richard has said stop being negative. I'm not being negative. I'm just saying what I saw on Saturday. That's all I do. I don't hide behind anything. I just say how I see it. It's not negativity. It's just Saturday's performance is not up there
James
to
agrees with you, so
yeah.
you know.
But it's just I'm just saying it. It's not negativity. It's just how I saw the game. And like you say, I truly believe at half time I was expecting 2 or 3 changes and see the same team come out again. It felt like, where's what are you going to change? Because it's not worked for 45 minutes. And you said that yourself in your interview. Leicester fans want to see something. You've got Skip on the bench, who was probably my man of the match against Palace up there with Wilf and Diddy. You know, so why not you bring him on? You can see that he's not had a good game. You know, why not change it then? It's like I said, the subs have got to be quicker. They've got to be proactive, not reactive.
I like this one, Tom. Ricky just says free Ricardo, and then Dabster92 says, what does Ricardo have to do to start a league game? Justin has been exposed on at least a few occasions. Now, much as I'm a glass half full at the moment, Tom, with everything and trying to see positives, I do see that James Justin, a lot of the goals have come down where he is. I also noticed JJ a few times, and this is something JJ's done in the past, is goes too far forward and then is using his pace to try and get back and get himself out of jail. I also want to say, Tom, I would ask you and everybody else to go back and watch Everton's first goal in sort of a bit of watch every tackle, because they get the ball just in their own half, and they have one player beats 2 Leicester players who dive in, miss it. Faz dives in, misses it. Okoli dives in, misses it, and then the ball goes in, and there's literally nobody marking the player. I do say go and watch it, because defensively, I don't know, you can blame Cooper, but there was 5 or 6 players, which was all over the place. And Ricardo Pereira, Tom, does seem to offer you a bit of class in that back line.
Well, it's the class on the pitch, the whole pitch. It's not just that back line. It's that what he brings to the team, the experience, the bit he can drive into the middle of the park and basically add you another player in there. Even if you're not playing innovative fullback, he can get forward. I mean, the goal itself is such a poor goal again. I mean, it's a free kick to them on the edge of our box, what hits our wall, and then we never recover. And it comes out.
We don't switch on. Yeah.
Nope. We come out to the right hand side and just inside our half. And it's a little 1-2, and you can't give a player like Ashley Young, who's got that much quality with a pass, to give it back to him. And then, as you said, players dive in. I mean, you watch the goal go in, and the first person I looked at was James Justin, and he puts his head in his hands because he knows it's a goal. Was it 5 out of 8 of the goals this season have come down that side? That tells me
they had a spare man on the edge of the 6-yard box. Tom, literally it wasn't like their guy had to do anything much apart from just volley it into the net, because there was nobody near him.
It's just got to be, like you say, there's something from that side, and you're hoping now that Ricardo gets a run of games. JJ's had a run of games. It hasn't worked at the moment, or his confidence is low. And his confidence is probably going to get lower after the weekend with what happened. I actually thought he had a better second half in the game, and he actually started to control and die a little bit more. But I thought the first half, and Die had him on toast. He didn't know where he was half the time. He was that quick. His movement in around the box, he couldn't cope with him. Second half, I generally felt he actually started to deal with him. And at that point, Everton took him off because they knew Justin had started to get the better of him and changed it up a bit. That's the difference. A manager could see something had happened and changed it up. You got to be, like you say, Cooper's got to be changing things quicker. Like you say, but yeah, Ricardo for me, I want to see him tomorrow, and I want to see him at Arsenal at the weekend playing.
Yeah. Clemo, get your views and get your comments in. If you can, give us a like, give us a share, because we always appreciate that. Clemo says Ricardo Pereira would be playing for a top 6 team if it wasn't for injuries. Not playing him is criminal. I understand what he's saying there. But finding my piece on YouTube, you're all over exaggerating. I hope I'm not, because I understand. I agree with finding my piece. I think lots of fans personally are being overcritical. We're not in the relegation zone. I keep saying this to people. We are 15th. I know it's close, but we are 15th, and I've seen enough to know we'll finish top 6. Well, they just blew it there. Then we're never going to finish top 6. Clibo says, well, for me, would be benched for Arsenal. He's going to cost us. Way too rash. He still does dive in at times. Mm-hmm. Harry, good evening. Harry says, we need to back Cooper. He picks a good team. They need to go out there and show him. There is times, Tom, I wouldn't agree with everything Harry says there, but there is times out there where I've watched Leicester this season and go, I think we should be a bit better than that as players. And I also feel like, I said it again on Saturday, I'm bored of saying it over the last few years, lacking that leader on the pitch to grab some of the players and say, come on, lads, let's go for this win.
Do you not feel that's what Ricardo offers? Like, if you look at last season when we weren't playing well and Ricardo was out injured or suspended, the games that he didn't play in were the games that actually we looked worse in last season, in my view, without Ricardo being on the pitch, because he is a bit of a leader in that back line. He also is a player that will pick players up when things aren't going well. Well, I look at someone like Faz, when something goes wrong, he's the first to start pointing the finger and flowing his arms around in the air.
Yeah.
What doesn't help anyone? So, look, I understand what people are saying about, backing the team. I will back the team, and Phil, I will back Cooper. I'm not sitting here saying Cooper out. What I'm saying is I want to see what he wants the players to do. Under Enzo, after one pre-season game, I sat here and could tell the style of play what Enzo was going to do with the passing, the movement. You could see the runs. You could see what they were doing on the pitch. I haven't seen that under Cooper yet. I can't see the style. Saturday, that first half, you got the ball at the back. There was no pass. It was all static. There was no movement in and around in front of the midfielders or the defenders for the ball to go to.
Yeah, that's what Andy's saying. That final ball.
There was just no movement. It was so flat. But there's been too many games this season already where you're saying we've been flat in the first half. Tottenham was flat. Everton was flat. Fulham was completely flat the whole game. That's 3 out of 5. And if you want to stay in the league, you can't be flat that often starting from the game. So I just want to see how the lads are going to play and what he's expecting each of those players to do. And see, at the moment they look lost. They look very disjointed. That's the word I'm looking for. Cohesion.
Ryan says here, Cody's the only natural leader in the squad, in my opinion. Ryan, I agree with you, but he hasn't had loads of match time. He made that massive fluff at the end of the Palace game. But I hear what Ryan's saying, because I genuinely, Tom, don't see... I think Vardy leads by example to an extent by how he chases around. But again, it's hard to... I do it like this bluffing. You need somebody out there sometimes grabbing the team visually in the middle of the pitch and saying, come on, lads, we want to go it. And the fans here, I didn't see anybody rallying the fans particularly. I think Mavadidi at one point came down towards the Kop and did a bit of like this, but you know what I mean?
Bring that one up. Hey, Phil, our fans are fickle. We have 3 points and we will get better. Ricardo should be playing instead of Faz. For me, I disagree, Tom. Enzo Ball's born. I'm not sitting here and arguing about Enzo Ball, what you like or dislike. What I'm saying is I could see a style. I could see an identity of how the players were going to play as a team. Number 2, number 6s were going to bomb in behind the wingers and look to get into the byline. The wingers were going to cut inside and do something that way. Vardy was going to pull off the back line and pull people out of position. I'm not sitting in saying I want to watch that Enzo Ball or I want to watch, Cooper. What I want to see is Cooper's identity on this team, because at the moment I don't see an identity. I see 11 players on that pitch who don't seem to know which one's doing what when the ball comes to them. It's all very static. It's all very, where's the ball going to next? Where Enzo, you knew where the ball was going. Yes, it was going back side to side, but there was always an ending to it. There was always going to be a product. What would come? I know it was like 100 passes, but you'd always have an end product. Where on Saturday, I don't see an end product. I'm not seeing anything that like you're going to create an opportunity. In the first half, where was the opportunities coming from? There wasn't. It was all like hit and hope, and very much when we got the ball from goalkeeper to Faz was then just knocking it side to side because he didn't know where to go next, if you get what I mean.
Did you notice that Wildfires multiple times, I didn't count them, but multiple times in the game, had the ball maybe 10 yards from the halfway line, and quite often, certainly in that first half, he had a player on the wing. It was often, I think, JJ, sometimes it was O, available for quite a nice send him forward, maybe 30, 40 yards, but a straightforward ball to get him down the wing. And rather than doing that, he does this one where he chops it right across the pitch to the other winger, like maybe a 50, 60, 70 yard pass, Tom. And then that's a much harder ball because all the plays over that side. I do question some of that sometimes when I see him do that tactic. Yeah. It clearly is a tactic.
Just going back to 12 games, I understand what you're saying about being patient, but what I'm saying is under one game under Enzo, you could see in pre-season, one game in pre-season, you could see what he's trying to do. Yeah, but what I'm saying, Cooper's had 5 games plus the whole of pre-season. I'm not expecting miracles, but I'm expecting some kind of pattern of play. I can't see a pattern of play there. But that's Tom, what I'm concerned about.
Yeah, but Yeah, okay, I understand that, and I do agree with what you're saying. But maybe what I'm going to say is Enzo's pattern of play was having the most expensive squad ever in the Championship, the best paid ever player, outpass every other team. That's what Man City do. I actually think Cooper's style of play, if you call it a style, is trying to scrap and just keep in a game and trying to, and maybe that's not a style, but he hasn't got the best team to outpass.
No, okay, but I'm not upset that. And
Everton went long, didn't they, a lot of the time? That was their style.
Truly believe we have probably the 4th, 5th best team, above the relegation zone. I think there's 3 or 4 teams worse than us.
There's no proof of that, Tom.
No, of course not. But what I'm saying, from that squad, looking at the squad of players they've got and the experience now, I still believe we have got a better team than most of those teams below us in that league at the moment. What I'm saying is, when their ball gets to the final third, you knew what was going to happen with Enzo's. What I'm saying, look at Steve Cooper. It gets to the edge of the area, and the players are all standing there looking at each other, going, "Where's the ball going, boys?" It doesn't seem to flow. And even if you're scrapping for games the way you're talking about, Phil, and Cooper's it's just going to get a hip and hope. There still should be players know where they've got to move on the pitch to try and get the ball into the box and into the goal. That's Premiership football. That's Championship football. Team practice where to be moving the ball to. For some reason, we get the ball in the final third and it doesn't seem to flow. It just breaks down nearly most of the time. You look at the goals we've scored this season, they've been a ball over the top for the Crystal Palace goal, the first one, a ball into the box from the wide again, and Diddy knocks it down, and Mavididi scored. What I'm just saying, the game needs to flow better for me when we get into that final third. That's what I want to see the practice come off, because we saw this training pitch stuff, and they're moving the ball around and scoring it in the top corner. And I know it doesn't always happen on the pitch, but you just want to see the game flow a little more easily. Then we get to the edge of it, it breaks down, and then we lose the ball. Because Saturday, how many times did we give the ball away so cheaply? That was my biggest concern that first half. Every time we got the ball, Oakley gave it away. Faz is giving it away. And Didi's giving it away. You've got to get the ball and you've got to do more with it. That's all I'm saying. Chances are few and far between the Premiership, but at the moment we're not creating much chances to score. So you've got to do something different for me, if you're going to, push on. And look, I said to you now, 17th, I'll take it.
Yeah. Well, I'm with you, Tom. I genuinely feel that would be major success this season for any newly promoted side, and it seems to get harder and harder. We saw all 3 come up last year and all 3 go back down. I would expect out the 3 that have come up this year, ourselves included, at least 2 will go back down, if not 3, just because I think the Premier League gets literally harder every year. Tom, it's interesting you said you think we've got a better squad, and I hear this with lots of fans, Tom. We've got a much better squad than X, Y, and Z. The bottom teams, Wolves, Everton, Southampton, Ipswich and Palace, who are below us, I would probably agree. I think we've got a squad that is equal to those 5. Away games are certainly going to be harder. Then you get into West Ham, Bournemouth, Brentford, and then Man United and Spurs. They're the next 5 above us. And I'm like, I don't think we don't have as good a squad as Man U and Spurs. No. Clearly. West Ham are not having a great start, but player by player probably got a better squad, as have Bournemouth and Brentford. I think this league is incredibly hard, and people, and I get it, Tom, people are rating some of our players, and I'm going, there's a lot of unknowns in our team. Mavididi and Fatwa, people are like, oh, these are Premiership players. They haven't proven it at all yet. Buenatti, let go by another Premier League team. Ayew, Edouard, let go by Palace. We've got a lot of players in that squad that really, I mean, even Winks, Tom. What happened with Winks on Saturday?
Again, another poor game.
Winks is a quarterback. He can do this, he can do that. He didn't do it on Saturday again.
No, again, he wasn't one of his finest games out there. I don't think anyone in the first half was probably above the 3 for me. I don't think anyone in the whole game probably got above a 5. I don't think anyone was outstanding. Probably Benotti was the only one who came on and you put in a 6 or a 7 mark.
I agree. Ryan says we have to be adaptable to play against different teams, but there has to be a strong base to work from. But what we seem to be playing totally different in most games. I do agree with what Tom's saying, and I do understand what you're saying about what is the pattern. Richard says, I'm not listening to Tom, what he's saying. No patterns of play, and the setup is shocking. I do hear what Tom's saying. I'm just a bit like, we scrapped against Villa and it didn't quite work. We scrapped against Palace. We scrapped against Spurs and we got points. We scrapped against Everton and we got a point. We went toe-to-toe with 3 teams who've been in the Premier League for numerous years and held her own. That's what I'm taking from some of these, Tom. Everton were not great. Palace were not great.
No. But you've got to win them,
we
mate.
managed. We won
the 3 points of the count. At the end of the day, Everton were poor. It's second half, and really let us come onto them. If you want to stay in the league, you've got to beat the teams around you. And at the moment, there's that mini league already starting with Everton, Wolves, Ipswich, Southampton, Leicester, West Ham. There's 7 odd teams down there already started to get a little cut adrift. And a couple of wins, you pull yourself away for it. I understand that, but you want to be trying to pull you away from the start. And again, on Saturday, if you'd won that game, you would have put us on 5 points. It would have put us on. That's a nice little gap already. When you look at the teams at the bottom, would have been on 0, 1 and 1. So
yeah,
difficult. But obviously tomorrow's game, it's not going to be easy either.
Yeah, indeed. Ryan said Everton pressed Winks every time he got the ball, and then they allowed Ndidi to have more time on the ball as he isn't as dangerous with the ball. That's probably a good spot. Jordan says it's a confidence thing, and the squad seems to be missing that massively. Do they believe in Cooper's tactics? I think that's a big question, Jordan. We just don't know that, do we, Tom, at the moment, how much they've all bought into what is the process yet. Perhaps Cooper hasn't found it yet.
No, I don't think he has. I don't think he knows his best team selection yet. That's his biggest probably concern for me.
Yeah, indeed. Jane says, what are you going to think about? We're not great. Cooper, he's trying to keep us in every game. I think Jane's, what I'm reading there is she's sort of agreeing with me, as I feel like we have stayed in the games. KDH took a lot of pressure off. Wink says Andy in there. And again, we've just got to hope that between Buenati, Tom, and El Khanousi, you'd start El Khanousi tomorrow?
I think for a confidence thing, yes. I'd say Bonotti for Arsenal away on Saturday.
Yeah.
I think the team picks itself really tomorrow in some ways. I think Edwards will start. You need to get his confidence up. A goal away at Walsall will be good for him. But this ain't going to be no easy game tomorrow, Phil. We're talking about a Walsall team, third in League Two, won 5, only lost 2 all season. They've only conceded 4 league goals all season out of 7 already. They beat Huddersfield from League One in the last round. Speaking to the Walsall Fan TV yesterday, they are quite confident going to this game the way Leicester are at the moment. Even if we were to make changes, that they could cause an upset, and it wouldn't be surprised tomorrow because we all know last time they gave us a hell of a game in the FA Cup and we only won 1-0 in that game. Yeah,
indeed. In here, last couple of comments, Mark, and this is what I love about football. Love it, I hate it. Mark sees one thing, I see something different. Tom, you can say what you say. Mark says Ayew was rubbish. I genuinely thought Ayew every game this season. There's a reason for me that fans around the grounds have been singing his name. It's because I think they see a little bit. Not the same sort of player as Mark or Brighton, but he is generally consistent. I think out of there's many players gave you a 4 or a 5 out of, and I think I think Saturday he gave you a 6, not a 7, but he was solid. But anyway, and then
he did his job at the end of the day. He works hard,
yeah,
and he runs back and forth. But again, is he going to be causing creative havoc on the pitch? Probably not. But from a defensive side, that's probably why Cooper's picking him.
Yeah, I understand that in there. Jason says, let's be honest, Cooper's record in the Premier isn't great. I hear all the stats, and I just bounce it back with saying he got Forest up and he kept Forest up. If he can keep Leicester up, that's the only stat we'll be interested in at the end of the season if we can do it. After being very good last season, surprising Vestergaard didn't even make the bench, Tom.
Not a Cooper signing though, is it?
No.
It's Enzo signing. Enzo signed that contract with Vestergaard before he left the football club. So in theory, Vestergaard's done well again. He's played for the club, 4 years now. He's played 1 full season back in the Championship. He then turns around and signs a new 3-year contract, and now he can't go back in the team. Hey, that's not a bad footballing life if you're not playing and you're still picking up probably 50, 60k a week, eh? He's done well out of Leicester, Vestergaard, and I feel sorry for him because generally I think if we are playing out from the back, he's probably our best ball-playing defender. But on the other hand, his pace is non-existent, and in the Premier League, he's going to get caught out.
And then just 2 quick ones, Tom, about Arsenal, which is obviously Saturday. I happen to agree with Ryan here, where he says, I'm not sure he'll play a 10 against Arsenal. I don't think he will either. I think he'll play Ndidi, Skip, Winks. But how do you think he'll set up?
I think he'll set up like that again. I think he'll set
Yeah.
up defensive. I think he'll try and nullify the Arsenal tats down the left. It'll be Vardy up front on his own, running around for 60-odd minutes. Hopefully we can nick something on the counter-attack, a bit like Forest did away at Liverpool the other week, and just go, we're not going to go gung-ho at Arsenal. We saw how good they were yesterday with 10 men behind the ball against Man City. It's going to be a tough game. But let's put it this way, would it not go and be a Leicester City to go and get their first win of the season at Arsenal?
Well, thank you, because Imran says, Tom, give some confidence about Arsenal. We all know it, Tom. We all know
That's the thing.
We've got no right. We didn't win in the Premier League winning season, did we, Tom? And
when was the last time we won there? Was COVID? I think it was a COVID year, weren't it? And Vardy 1-0.
And that was the first time in like 25 years.
5 years. So look, anything can happen. And like I say, it's Leicester. It would be Leicester to go to the Emirates on Saturday and win a game. It would be the Leicester way. I think me and follow this club long enough. It's what we do.
It could, and this season could be like that, and that's what I'm trying to say to fans who are like, I saw some stuff yesterday which was literally people debating Cooper out, Tom, and I just think 5 games, you've got to, whether you love him or clearly hate him. I don't think many fans love him, myself included. I don't love Cooper, but I'm prepared to give him more than 5 games. I think fans debating yesterday, Cooper out, sack him, you must sack him. I'm like, jeepers, give. Back him and the lads a little bit longer. Come on.
I mean, in the ground, mate, that's all we've done all season is back the boys, and that's all I'll do every game is back the boys. I don't think that seeing the point of having going at the team or manager during the games does anyone any confidence after the game. Like I say, we're all here, we're allowed opinions, but I'd say for calling out after 5 games is a little bit too quick. Like I say, we all know more at 12 games in, 10 games. I always say 10 games. I think 10 games is a good milestone into your season, especially in the Premiership. With only 38 games, it's not the Championship. You haven't got as many games in there. So 38 games, you've used 10 of them all gone. That's near a third of the season. So if you're not seeing what you want to see after 10 to 12 games, then there is the concern to be calling for stuff, especially if we haven't won a game by that point.
Yeah, I think unlike with Brendan Rodgers, Tom, we do need to be on the button this time with Cooper. We do need to be like, if it isn't working at the right point, triggers will need to be pulled. But for me, we're just not that yet. Mark says some fans wanted Cooper out before a ball was kicked. That's quite true. That is exactly true. 7 games, Richard says. He's giving him 7 games. It's not many. Listen, Tom, thanks. Enjoy the match tomorrow night. You're going to Walsall, aren't you?
Yes, mate. I'll try and do some pre-match stuff outside the ground when we get the team news and stuff like that. So join us for that as well. And then obviously I'll do my post-match review when I probably Wednesday night. Seeing it's
Fantastic.
A late one and work early in the mornings.
Indeed. So, Tom, thanks so much for joining us, Ever. We'll see you at the next game.
Guys.
Cheers, mate. Thanks to Tom joining us from the Fox's Den shed there. Looking cool as ever. Thanks for all your views and comments in here. Let's get a couple in before. Again, I'll ask the question, how long do you give him until the damage is unrepairable? Well, Mark, some of that depends on what the league table. People are saying, I'll give him 10 games, I'll give him 7 games, I'll give him 15 games. So you have to look at the table. If we're still in and about it, and remember, we're not in the bottom 3 yet. I know, and I'll say there's only 5 games left, and a win here and a win there makes all the difference. I think the honest answer to that, Mark, is you have to give him until we're suddenly in that bottom 3 and we're starting to not win games and getting a little bit cut adrift. And that could be between that 10 and 15 games. Who knows? It might go on a bit longer. While we're still in it, I think you've got to stick with him. John says, not Cooper out now, for sure. I'd agree 10 games, but I haven't got much confidence. Without the point deduction, could we attract a better manager? That's if put some maybes. Maybe we would have got a better manager without the points deduction. It didn't. It happened. Imran says, if after 12 games we're playing poorly, then I'll pull the trigger. Again, Imran, I'll say, depends where we are in the league. You wouldn't pull the trigger if we're 15th, would you? It's okay. We don't take 15th at the end of the season. So while you're not in that bottom 3 and not cut adrift, why would you change manager? I think. If we don't beat Southampton, a lot of fans, Lee, I understand it, laying down the ultimatum. If we don't beat Southampton, then he's got to go. Again, I'll say, Lee, if we don't beat Southampton, but we're 15th, not in it, it's tricky. Richie says give the manager a season. You see, I don't go that far because I do think if we're not in it, it will have to change. But we have to wait and see. For me, can't judge it after 5 games. I saw some people say, if we don't beat Everton, that's it. He's got to go. I think, wow, stick with him a little bit. Let's see what happens. Stranger things can happen than we can go to Arsenal on Saturday and win. I don't predict it. It doesn't normally happen, but it is Leicester City. I remember many, many times us going to games and thinking we don't stand a chance. And there we go. We are Leicester City. We go and beat the Arsenal. We could not touch the ball for 90 minutes and Jamie Vardy could pop it in the last minute. It could happen. You know it and I know it. So let's stick with them for a bit. Good luck to everybody tomorrow night against Walsall. Potential banana skin. I think we can do it. Get your views in, get your comments in as ever. Get your score predictions in. Join us tomorrow night when we'll be going live. And thanks for everybody who's watched. If you're watching on YouTube, please do click that subscribe button and the notification one. And if you're watching on Facebook, like and share. And thanks for everybody on Twitter for all your views and comments. I'll see you very, very soon.
The Leicester City machine is on the march again.
Leicester Fan TV presents a variety of content like fan discussions, match analysis, and engaging with Leicester fans worldwide. We want your views live, thanks to our sponsors, Everard's, Pucker Pies, Hologram, Take Me, Newbie & Co, and the Fox's Arms. For exclusive extra shows, behind the scenes, competitions and podcasts, subscribe to Leicester Fan TV today on Patreon.